You might think buying is always better than renting, but what if I told you that's not always true, especially in Perrysburg, Sylvania, and Maumee, Ohio? Now, let's settle this all for once. Today, we're breaking down everything you need to know about renting versus buying a home in three of Northwest Ohio's hottest communities: Perrysburg, Sylvania, and Maumee. Whether you're trying to figure out which move makes the most financial sense, or just want to know where you'll be happiest day to day, this video is going to give you all the facts. We'll go through the real numbers, the hidden costs nobody talks about, and help you figure out what's actually best for you, not just what everyone says you should do. Stick around because the real answer might surprise you. Hi everyone, my name's Garrett Luhring with Danbury Realtors and the 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐓 team, your host here of Moving to Toledo. So let's get into it and start by painting the real picture. Imagine you just landed a great job offer near Toledo, you're ready to move, and you're eyeing Perrysburg or Sylvania or Maumee, three of the most popular suburbs around here. They're safe, they have great schools, and they all have a real sense of community. But here's the million-dollar question. Do you rent or do you buy? Well, before you make a move, you need to know how much both options will actually cost you, not just today, but 5 years down the road. Now, let's start by looking at Perrysburg. Perrysburg is booming. The average home price right now is hitting at around $360,000. If you're buying a 3-bed, 2-bath home in a nice neighborhood like the Sanctuary or the Villages at River Place, you're easily looking at a minimum of $350,000, maybe even on the low end of $450,000. Property taxes here hover around 2.2% of the assessed value, so you're adding a good chunk of charge to your monthly mortgage bill. Renting in Perrysburg, well, a decent 2-bedroom apartment in a newer complex like Perry's Crossing or the flats at Levis Commons will set you back about $1,500 to $1,900 a month. Renting a full house, expect to pay anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 depending on size and location. The math is important here because buying locks you into a mortgage, but renting gives you more flexibility, especially if you're not 100% sure you'll stay for at least 3 to 5 years. Now let's move along and roll over to Sylvania. Sylvania is known for being super family friendly and loaded with great parks, great schools, and a charming yet very tiny downtown. Home prices here are a little lower than Perrysburg, but higher than Maumee, with the average sitting around $305,000 to $320,000 for a typical 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. Especially in places like Timberstone or Maple Creek areas. Rent, it's similar to Perrysburg with apartments in places like Chelsea Place or Addison Place apartments, which run about $1,300 to $1,800 a month. Renting a house, again, we're looking closer to $1,800 to $3,500 a month, depending on the size and any amenities. Sylvania has slightly lower property taxes than Perrysburg, depending on whether you're in the township or the city proper. Still, buying here means a hefty monthly mortgage when you factor in taxes, insurance, and maintenance. Finally, Maumee. This area offers a lot more affordability without losing that suburban charm, although it may have less amenities, dining, and entertainment options than some of the other areas. The average home price here is closer to $280,000, but there are high-end neighborhoods like the Quarry and also historic areas near uptown Maumee where you can snag a charming old classic home for under $300,000 and sometimes even less if you're willing to do some more updating. Renting in Maumee is more affordable as well. Apartments at the trails at Wolf Creek or River Road Estates typically run between $1,000 and $1,600 a month. Renting a single-family home can range anywhere from $1,400 to $2,500 a month typically. So clearly, Maumee offers the lowest barrier to entry, whether you rent or you buy. But here's where it gets tricky. A lot of people think buying is automatically the smarter financial move, and sometimes it absolutely is. You build equity, you get tax deductions, you aren't throwing your money away on rent. That's the narrative we've all heard, right? But buying comes with big upfront costs that most people aren't ready for. Down payments, closing costs, moving expenses, inspections, appraisals, repairs. Oh, and don't forget about property taxes and insurance. Those don't go down often. On the flip side, renting comes with the flexibility to move easily if you're in between jobs if your family grows, or if you just want to explore different parts of the town. But you don't build equity, and your rent can also keep climbing with each lease renewal, and you won't get any updates or upgrades to your home. Whereas if you owned it, you could do whatever you like to it. So let's run through a quick real world example. Say you buy a $350,000 home in Perrysburg with 10% down, that's $35,000 up front, plus roughly another 7 to 10,000 in closing costs. Your monthly mortgage, taxes, and insurance could end up around $2,500 a month. Meanwhile, you could rent a pretty nice house in Perrysburg for just over $2,000 a month. No huge upfront cost besides maybe first month and last month's rent and a security deposit. But if you only live here for 2 or 3 years, renting could actually save you money when you factor in buying, selling, and moving costs of a home. But if you're planning to stay put for 5 years or more and you see yourself here long term, buyer usually becomes the smarter move financially over the long term. Because in this case, you're building equity and likely seeing your home's value appreciate over time. This is where personal circumstances can really come into play. If your job is rock solid, your kids are settled in school, and you're ready to put down roots, buying a home in any of these cities makes a ton of sense, and you're not too far from any of the other spots. But if you're still feeling things out, maybe you're new to the area or you know your career path could take you elsewhere in just a few years, renting gives you that breathing room. Now, let's add another layer to this: interest rates. At the time of recording, mortgage rates have cooled slightly but are still hovering around 6.5 to 7% for a 30-year fixed loan. That's way up from the rock bottom rates we saw a few years ago. However, this is becoming a new norm. Higher rates mean higher monthly payments, though. A $350,000 house today costs a lot more per month to finance than it did in 2021 when rates were at 3%. So if you're stretching your budget to buy, you need to think twice and make sure you're not putting yourself in a financial pressure cooker. You don't want to be house rich, cash poor. Renting could buy you some time until rates drop. I can't promise anything, or at least until you find the right house at the right price. And if you have a good agent who's willing to negotiate aggressively on your behalf, me, then you're likely going to find that place after not too long. Now, let's talk about lifestyle. Perrysburg is polished. Think outdoor concerts at Levis Commons, upscale restaurants like Stella's, and chain shopping mixed with charming boutiques. Sylvania, on the other hand, is cozy, tree lined, and very family centric, also with many parks. People here love events like the Fall Festival at Olander Park and grabbing a burger at Inside the Five downtown. Now, Maumee is a bit more relaxed. It has that historic small town vibe, the Maumee Indoor Theater for cheap movies, and riverfront access that's great if you love kayaking or fishing. If you crave brand new houses, master planned neighborhoods, and manicured lawns, Perrysburg will probably feel like your home. If you love walkable communities with deep roots, Sylvania or Maumee might win your heart over. Your lifestyle should absolutely play into whether you rent or buy. If you're single or newly married, renting gives you freedom. If you're mobile, you're flexible, you're not tied down to a mortgage and a maintenance schedule. Now, if you have kids, or you plan to soon and you want stability in a good school district, friendships with neighbors, buying probably makes a lot more sense. So here's the bottom line: there's no universal right answer. If you know you'll stay put for at least 5 years and you have the down payment saved and you can comfortably afford the monthly cost, even if taxes or rates rise, buying in any of these three areas that fit your lifestyle could set you up for long term success. But if you value that flexibility and you're uncertain about your next few years, or if you simply just don't want the responsibility of maintenance, renting gives you the freedom without the stress. Either way, choosing the right city matters just as much as choosing whether to rent or buy. And honestly, you can't go wrong with any of these three or any of the other suburbs in Northwest Ohio. It just comes down to what chapter of life you're in and where you see yourself a few years down the road. So, should you rent or buy in Perrysburg, Sylvania, or Maumee? That's up to you and your lifestyle choices. And if you're looking for somebody to help show you around the area, give you more insights and information, you can always reach out to me directly, and I'm happy to help. My phone number is 419 460 1947. And again, it's Garrett Luhring with Danbury Realtors and the 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐓 team. No matter what you decide, understanding the real cost and the real lifestyle trade-offs makes a big difference. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found this information helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe to my channel for more news on all things Northwest Ohio, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.